buckle up. It's time to take the trip, buckle up.
You're listening to the Take the Trip podcast, where you'll find real talk and zero filter. I'm your host, Kendra Fogarty, and today I'm here with Becky of We Will Figure It Out. Becky, your page always cracks me up. Thank you so much for bringing some of your adventures over to the podcast today.
Thanks for having me, Kendra.
Yes. So first, we need to hear about work camping. Your stories are just jaw-dropping. I cannot believe some of the things that you have endured out there in the wild. So we need you to spill the tea. So first, do you have like a favorite story or your like most unbelievable story? Like you have seen some shit.
Literally.
Literally.
You know, one of the things that happened this past season when we were work camping is that somebody pulled up to our dump station and they did not have a hose that connects the sewer. And they just thought, I could like measure it just enough to like just pull it and it will go straight into the sewer. No, crap goes everywhere. And then,
Oh my gosh.
you know, and then they're basically like, sorry, see ya. And so then, you know, the campground has to like clean all that up. So I'm shocked that like people wouldn't think, or this is something they do on the regular and just don't want to buy a sewer hose.
Oh my gosh, that's wild. So crazy.
But the manager was like running outside, stop. And then, you know, they had the lime and all of that down the next day. And yeah, it's crazy stuff. Like I love people, but sometimes they're just unhinged.
That is unreal. I do totally wonder, like you did, like, are they just always doing that? Did they just not know, like, what was going through their minds? Or did they just think it was going to be okay? I couldn't imagine, like, oh my God, too, just being comfortable being that near it. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. That is such a situation.
Right.
Yikes. We did have someone ask to borrow our sewer hose once, which was surprising too, but then I like hear that story and I'm like, I thought it was very odd that this person asked, but at least they asked and they didn't just go ahead and let it all flow.
Just pull the trigger. Yep, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Did you let them?
We did, and then we were like, you may keep that hose. Merry Christmas. So yeah, we're not gonna need that one back. That's yours now. So
Exactly.
funny. Yeah. So what happened with the bear?
Okay. So it was our last night doing security at a campground in New Hampshire. It was our first work camping. Work camping is, you know, a combination of work and camping. So anything that you do while living full of part-time in your RV can be considered work camping, but a lot of people think of it as like the campground. So we were at a campground in New Hampshire and it was our last night there. And they had talked a lot about like seeing bears and that kind of stuff, but I hadn't seen any. And so we were with our friends because it was our last night. So we're like doing security together. My friend brought snacks and we were just, you know, going to have a good time like going around the campground. Anyway, so we hear like commotion from campers. And so we're like, we better check that out. So we go up there and they're like, oh, don't worry, security's here. And we're like, what's going on? Like, I'm just a regular person, you know? It's so funny because they were like, there's a bear as we're pulling up into their lane because they had like a lot of private camp spots or whatever. My first thought is like, do I finish this cosmic brownie or do I throw it down? You know, because there's bears around. Anyway, so they were cooking out at 10 o'clock at night and a bear came around and he would not be scared away at all. So my husband and his friend that we're still really good friends with, they get out and they're like making noise. My husband like grabs a wiffle ball bat to like hit a tree thinking, but this bear, like he had cookies. Like he did not care. He's like, I'm going to like eat these cookies and have a good time. So then they called the wife to come in too. Somebody had to stay in the golf cart because your foot had to be on the brake anyway, someone just had to be in it. So the three of them are trying to scare this bear away. And I'm in the golf cart with all the snacks by myself. And I'm like,
God.
a second. Is this bear going to like eat me? Because I have all the snacks. So I didn't realize it until later, but it was so funny. Like they finally got the bear chased away and our friend, like his adrenaline kicked in, started like running after this bear for some like crazy stuff. We picked him up like half a mile down the road. Like what were you thinking? I don't know. But anyway, yeah. First thought, do I finish this?
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. And I would have the same thought too, but also just like logistically too, though. Wild that someone was chasing him. Are you supposed to chase bears?
No, exactly. He was like going through campsites. He's like, "Don't worry, it's security." We
My
have no idea, just
God.
making noise, like scared. The bear was like already, running, but he like ran after it. I have no idea why.
Oh my God, that's funny. There's always different things they recommend doing based on the animal. You know what I mean? And I
Right.
always forget what is what for each animal. Like some you're supposed to just make yourself look big and you're not supposed to move and you're, not supposed to turn around. But there's like things about eye contact or like running. But there's some where you are literally just supposed to run as fast as you can. And they're like, that's going to be your best. So I just don't know. But that is really hilarious and probably terrifying for sure, too. We were in a Pennsylvania campground. And there was a bear. And this was like, we were just weekend campers at this time too. So we were really not familiar with like bears and a lot of campground chaos. And this bear, we just see this bear like come down the ridge. And then someone is telling us that there's someone who baits this bear and just leaves food out for it all the time just so it can like take pictures of it and stuff. And then we were kind of like, well, I don't think that is acceptable at a campground. That doesn't sound like a good idea. And it was a big bear. So that was freaky. And we were kind of, glad not to be there too long.
Well, it's funny because we had a camper that like left their cooler out overnight, and we would tell people like checking people in, like, do not leave food out. There's bears in the area. And he came in the next day and he was so upset. And he was like, I left my cooler out with all this salmon in. And we're like, it was a bear that got it. And he was like, but I had the trash out too. He didn't touch the trash. Okay, you got salmon, you got trash. Like, what are you picking? Like, he was so upset, but we're like, we told you.
Yeah, you just had a smart bear that knows what he likes. He was like, oh, I don't have to go fishing today. My salmon has been
Exactly.
prepared. Perfect.
Exactly.
He's like, I'm just
Yes.
made out. They probably look for the coolers if it's around a place where people are fishing. My goodness.
Exactly. The salmon and cookies, I guess that's what that's what drew him in.
Those are some happy bears.
Exactly.
I think people really underestimate what animals can accomplish. Like they know how to do
Yes,
those things. They just
they
think like
do.
it's going to need to be in like a bowl or something just waiting for them and they're not going to be able to get it. But no, they know how to open things
They
and
do.
even doors and how there's, all the trash cans and stuff. Even raccoons know how to like, oh, there's some of the worst. Like they can do zippers and all sorts of things. So I think
Exactly.
people are underestimating the animals out there in the campgrounds for sure. All right. So what else has happened? I know there was something with a fire ring, right?
Yeah, it's so funny. I did like some campground tips over the summer when we were working at the campground. And it's just some of the things that you would never think. Like somebody, I was like, hey, don't take this with you when you go. Someone had just like picked up one of the fire rings and just like walked off with it. It's funny because you don't know. It could have been their neighbors, it could have been them. So it's not like you can charge them because you don't know which one, who actually took it. But can you imagine just being like,
It's
I'm going
so
to take
funny.
this?
Yeah, your video was hilarious. And it's so funny when things like that need to be explained. Like, no, that's for when you're here. That's not for when you leave. That's not a goodie
Exactly.
bag or something, like not complimentary to keep. Although I'm sure they
Exactly.
kind of, knew what they were doing, but that's just wild. I don't know who would want one of those
I don't know.
rings. And then I remember there was to circle back to first topic, there was another bathroom situation that really surprised me, right? That had to do with a shower as well.
Is this about poop also? Is the poop
Yes, this
story?
one's about, another poop story. There's been a lot. It seems like there's a lot of poop in work camping.
Yes, exactly.
Shocking amount, really.
So it's funny because we've had a couple situations, and living full time in the RV, that you're going to have sometimes where things just go awry. And we had like about 6 weeks where we didn't have running water. We had our tank that we could turn on, but for showers and stuff like that, we had to go to the shower house. And that's happened like twice since we've been back on the road, where the water situation just for whatever reason, like stop working. And people poop in the showers. Like just one of those things that you never think that they'll poop in the shower, they've pooped in the trash can, like lifted out the bag and pooped in the trash can of the shower. Like I'm just like, that's crazy. My husband was always like, I always felt bad when the housekeeping staff would like call over the radio, hey, I need a shovel. I'm like, you are not paid enough. You are not paid enough.
I'm basically speechless because I just can't wrap my head around it. So this isn't just something that had happened like one time. This was something that happened like several
Multiple times.
times.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
so wild. Oh my God.
Yeah. There's a name
It's
for it. It's like the waffle stomps or whatever, because people will actually poop and then try and like stomp it down the drain. I know.
I like
It's crazy.
having a difficult time wrapping my mind around that. I just cannot Now, every single like, all my campground neighbors, I'm just gonna be looking at them, like, analyzing, like, "Are you the kind of person who does a waffle stomp?" Like, I just don't know, it's so freaky. It really, really is shocking, and it just changes too then the way I look at showering in the campground, but, of course, we always wear shower shoes, but now those have just
Always.
gotten about 100 times more important in my mind. I did not know it was ever to protect myself from poop, so now we know. My gosh, that is just
Always. That's
wild.
a campground tip for sure. Like, wear shower
Yes.
shoes. Never it doesn't matter if you're already undressed and ready to get in and you forgot your flip-flops. No. Go back. Go back. It's imperative.
And if anything falls on the floor, just light it on fire. You're not gonna keep whatever that item was. If it's your towel, just forget it. It's done.
It's
You can't
done.
even wash it. It's over. God.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm sure most campgrounds, though, do an excellent job cleaning and disinfecting and stuff, but you just never know. That's pretty
It's
bad.
It's
Wow.
very true. It's very true. Yeah. I would have never thought that but yeah, apparently it's quite common because I made that reel about it. Like people were telling their stories and I was just like, what? Like, come
No.
on.
My God.
It's
Wow,
never
okay.
boring.
No, oh my gosh, I used to choose sometimes if there was a really nice shower at the campground, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna, like, go to the campground shower because, my hair is pretty thick, and sometimes the water pressure just doesn't clean it that well." And sometimes it was nice because if my kids would stay home, then I would know 100% no one was interrupting me and whatever. So I'd, like, go to the shower by choice, and now I'm, like, rethinking that philosophy if it should only be a last like, a requirement, like, if we don't have water, whatever, just use a campground shower. It's pretty freaky. Or I could bring my own cleaning supplies maybe. Just pour some bleach down there before I get going.
Exactly. I would still do it though. Like I would still take the chance for an uninterrupted shower and for like good water pressure. As long as I've got flip-flops, I will still do it.
That's true. Always safe with the flip-flops. And there was an interesting situation with a guest that you had once, right? An unwelcome guest.
Yes, it's so
So
funny. She
funny.
will remain nameless, but yeah, she came to the campground. She has been banned from this campground. I don't know why. She keeps wanting to sneak back in, but like she has been banned. And so when they found out she was there, they're like knocking on the door. They're like, listen, you know, you're not supposed to be here. But she had caused so much fear among some of the people that like the neighbor that was staying at a cabin near her actually took off their license plate as before they were leaving because they were afraid of retaliation. Family was just like the kids refused to get out of the pool. Can you imagine being like 10 years old and the security telling you, hey, it's, we're closing up the pool. And they're like, no, like, what? What?
My God.
Banging on the windows of the campground store after it's closed. Just like, so, I mean, if you're going to sneak back into a campground, you think you would do it like maybe where you'd be unnoticeable, not like banging on the doors after the campground store closes. Like, it's just crazy.
That is so wild, and there's definitely a lot to unpack there. Like, first, just the fact of, like, getting kicked out of a campground in the first place, that's wild. Like, you have to be doing some pretty weird stuff. And then to,
Yes.
like, return and just be acting up again, my goodness, that is wild. So many
Yeah.
adventures in work camping.
So many.
So tell us a little bit, like, what is it like? What do you love about work camping? Or what do you not love about if anything else from what we haven't already covered?
Do you know what though? I do love it. I love the chance to work and travel. And I would, even if it means a couple poops in the shower, listen, I never had to clean that up. Like, if it meant traveling full time, well, okay, maybe not clean up poop, but like, I mean, you can tolerate it because you're living this life on the road, and so I wouldn't trade that for anything. And I love, even though people can be crazy sometimes, like, I love meeting the different people from different places, different walks of life, different beliefs, I don't know, just older people, younger people. It's just such a variety that are at the campgrounds. I love meeting them, working with them. And I think that can be a good and a bad because when you're work camping, you don't know like what environment you're coming into. Personalities are so different and they have like a certain establishment there because you're only coming in for a season. So you've got people that have returned and you kind of, you don't want to like come in guns blazing, just coming in and kind of feeling the personalities out a little bit first. We have another job. I guess it's technically considered work camping where we travel a lot in our RV, but also through Airbnbs. We set up pop-up shops at marching band events and high school state championships and sell merchandise for a company out of Dallas, Texas. So that's completely different from like working at the campground. we're still traveling full time, but traveling in a little bit, in a little bit of a different way. But I love that too. We have to hire people that are local. And so you always get to find out what local things you have to do or what restaurants you need to go to. But you also like don't know every once in a great while, you're going to get people that are like, oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm not hiring you again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that has to be interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I love that you get to have those different experiences and that you've
Mhm.
figured out like multiple different ways to generate the income to keep the dream
Yes.
going. So yeah,
Yes.
that is awesome. And it's kind of fun that you get to kind of mix it up. You don't need to do the same thing the whole year. You can kind of take a break from the chaos of working in the campground and then working outside of it. So it's really cool that you guys have, because I feel like jobs too, like the one you have for like the marching bands are kind of few and far between. Like I haven't heard of a lot of them where you're
Mhm.
traveling around and doing something like that. So that's really cool. And your daughters get to work with you too in these experiences, right? So I
Yes.
just think that's so awesome. That's such an amazing learning experience for them and really cool that you get to spend time together like that too.
Yeah.
How do they feel about it? Like how has that gone?
Yeah, so they're 16 and 22. When we were on the road, we've actually been on the road two separate times. When we were on the road the first time, they were like 16 and 11, so they were a little bit younger. So we did some volunteer work when they were younger, helping clean up at campgrounds. My older daughter and I, we worked at, it was a volunteer job, but we worked at a cafeteria at a campground. And so you would volunteer to work there, and then they would give you your meal at the end of the night. But it was volunteer work, and I loved that. The thing about the marching band one and that we're traveling to different places through Airbnbs, it also kind of gives us the opportunity to have a little space from each other because we're staying at
Right.
Airbnb. So we have a little more bit more room to stretch out. And usually the girls like get their own rooms at the Airbnb. And so that gives us a little bit of space. But my favorite thing with the family in general, as we're work camping together, is like at the end of the night, whether it's, at a campground or whether it's at these marching band events, like, cause you work in retail, is telling stories of like what happened and who said what and how it went and just kind of like decompressing at the end of the night. It's always my favorite part of the job. Just like, can you believe they said this? This is what this person asked for. And this person like had a line behind them and they went to their car to get changed. Just, just funny. And I think it's giving them real life experience of dealing with people and I don't know, meeting people from all different walks of life. So I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like a great resume builder too, that they're already working these different jobs with you. It's really cool. And I've been impressed with some of the stuff you've shared that they have been doing, like how your daughters were running the Saturday morning pancakes or something, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
So they were working in that area. Like, yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's really awesome. So I just think that's really cool too, that you guys have figured out something that they are able to have that opportunity too. Cause I've also heard of different families with teens saying, okay, well, we're going to get off the road when, our oldest turns 16 because they want to be able to get a job. So then it kind of prevents them from being able to continue traveling because they feel like they need to be somewhere stationary where they can't get this work experience. So I think that's cool that you guys have figured out how to keep it rolling. Love
Yeah,
it.
definitely. And you're right with the resume builder. They have done so many different things. Like this season at the campground, my oldest, Kaylee, she worked in pancake, she worked as a barista, she worked in the cafe. She did so many different things. And my youngest worked in the cafe by herself in pancakes. And it just is such a good experience. And like I'm saying from before, like just the volunteer work that we did as well just has given them like such a variety. And they didn't always like appreciate me signing up to do volunteer work, but I just think it was important to do something, to do
Yeah.
something, to be involved. Yeah. So,
But that's inspiring. I need to figure out a way to get my kids, and they're, so little, but I'm sure there's something somewhere that they could volunteer and contribute to. So I love that. Okay, so let's play a little game before we talk a little bit more about the RV life. So
okay.
live, visit, exile. I'm going to give you three locations. One you're going to need to live at, one you can visit, and then the other you're going to have to exile, never to return to again.
Okay.
Okay. West Virginia,
Okay.
Texas, and Tennessee. So which one will you live at? Which will you visit? And which one are you going to exile?
Live in Tennessee, visit West Virginia, exile Texas. Sorry.
Exile, Texas.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Now remind me, where is your hometown?
Maryland. So we live in
Maryland.
Western
Okay.
Maryland.
You live in West Virginia. Okay. And then you spend a lot of time in Texas, though, right? Is that because your company is based in there?
Yes.
Got it. And so you're kind of like, we've seen a lot of Texas now.
I know. And
Yeah.
then we're residents of Texas now, which is funny. But with full timing is like if you decide to get an address on the road or whatever, there's several states that you can be a part of, and Texas is one of them. And I love Texas, but just like if I had to pick.
Mm-hmm. Always tough. We haven't been to Texas yet, so I wouldn't even be
Okay.
able to share my answer for this one. But I do love Tennessee. I
Me
wouldn't
too.
mind living in Tennessee at all. It's lovely. And I think West Virginia is one of the most underrated states,
Yeah.
honestly. So it'd be fun to visit that
Yeah.
one. It's very cool there. Okay, so the next one's a little bit different.
Okay.
It is Bucky's, Chick-fil-A, and In-N-Out. And just because I know you're a Bucky's fan, and then you also recently went to like the Chick-fil-A museum. I don't even know the first store. I don't know what that was. So I was like, okay, I got to figure out. But have you been to an In-N-Out before?
I feel like maybe
I need to switch that one then.
I'll make it Culver's. You talked about Culver's. I
Culver's.
finally went to
I
a
did talk
Culver's.
about. Oh, you went to Culver's. Okay, perfect. Okay, so Culver's, Chick-fil-A, and Bucky's. Where are you going to live? Which would be, wow, very cool place to live. Which one are you going to visit occasionally? And which one are you never going to visit again?
Okay. So it's funny. Definitely live in Bucky's. We love Bucky's. It's funny. We have watched some movies recently, and my youngest, we went to Bucky's recently, and she was like, "This would be a great place to live if the apocalypse happened
That's a great point.
because you have everything there."
Yes, you do. That's smart.
It's funny. As much as we love Chick-fil-A, I would say I don't love Culver's better than Chick-fil-A, but I just have not been there as frequently. So I would probably have to exile Chick-fil-A and then visit Culver's.
Okay, that makes sense because if you're like, yeah, we'll give Culver some more chances, and if you haven't been there as much, we have also spent a lot of time at Chick-fil-A, and
Yeah.
I do love Chick-fil-A, but Culver's the ice cream, man.
They have that concrete. Oh my gosh. And you get 2 mix-ins. Come on.
No, it's tough to beat.
It
Oh
is.
my God. Yes. I just love these fast food places that really come in clutch on really difficult travel days. So
Yeah.
shout out to them. All right. So
Exactly.
tell me the story behind the name We Will Figure It Out, because that feels like a mindset that you don't just land on by accident. So tell us about that origin story.
So it's funny. We'll figure it out as kind of our life philosophy, whether it's been adoption, whether it's been homeschooling, whether it's been full time RV life. Like, no matter what it is, we just have always said, oh, we'll figure it out. Like, I say
Yeah.
that so much, like, we'll figure it out. Like, we'll make it happen. We'll figure it out. Like, I was saying it so much, it just became natural that it's just the page name because it just is us, who we are. And sometimes you do need to figure it out. Like plan a little bit ahead, which I'm learning. But yeah, definitely our life philosophy.
I love that. And it sounds like you've overcome a lot of those obstacles, I guess, if you, for lack of a better word, or different challenges, and you have figured them out. So
Yeah,
I love it.
exactly. You always
Yes.
do. Everything you've gone through in life,
Yeah.
you've figured it out.
Yeah, you find a way for sure.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you're currently in the middle of figuring out that does not yet feel tied up in a bow?
We kind of we waited a little bit long to find our summer job. And I will say, like, a lot of work campers usually are a season ahead, and we waited a little bit long. So we kind of, just asked our company if they had some things to do over the summer because their busiest time is like the fall when marching season starts. And then they do a state championship over the winter, which is like why we're in Georgia right now. But so, we asked, could we stay there and kind of work for the company over the summer? So that one wasn't really like tied up in a nice neat bow, but we really needed, now that we're Texas residents, we really needed to spend some time in Texas for doctor's appointments, for getting ourselves established a little bit more. And so it wasn't tied up in a neat bow, but it was like maybe tied up in a 3-year-old bow. You know what I mean? It's just like, well, this is how it's going to work.
It
And it's
was like
fine.
it was like the repurposed wrapping paper that you keep in the closet after the last
Exactly.
holiday and you found the bone there. Okay, that makes sense. All
Yep.
right.
Yep.
That's great. Okay. Well, I'm glad that you're working on it. It sounds like you got something in the works. Have you ever made a decision where you thought like, oh, we'll just figure it out, and then later you kind of regretted it, like an impulse kitten purchase or anything like that, where you're kind of like, that is one that we should have thought out more in advance?
I would say one of the ones that we did, it's the same thing with like waiting till the last minute, is that we thought for sure we were on the road for the first time in 2020 to 2021. And then we came off the road for a couple years and then went back out on the road in 2024. And what we did is we thought for the winter, we're like, we'll just go to Florida. That's where all the full timers go, right? Like, so there's going to be jobs there. There's going to be things to do. It's going to be fine. Like, we'll figure it out when we get there. No,
Mm-hmm.
it was just, we could
Back.
not, we could not
Yeah.
like figure it out. My husband applied for so many different jobs. At that point, he was the one that was working. I was, staying at home and like homeschooling and doing everything here. And so we were just like, we'll figure it out when we get there. But he could not find anything. And then somebody suggested, why don't you try a temp agency? And we were like, oh, never thought about it. And honestly, like gig culture right now is like so big. Like you can find gig work through so many different companies, so many different organizations, but that was genius. Something at that point I would have never ever thought about. Like we hire people now for gig work. Like you work the day and then I give you your money and you're gone. So like it wasn't as prevalent back in 2020 as it is now, but I would have never thought of that. My husband has been he had been in construction for like 30 plus years, and he got hired to clean up construction. Like he was working cleanup on a construction site. So it's a little bit different than what he had done, but still it was something. And so that worked out great.
Nice. I like that you had the faith in it though, where you're like, we're just going to go and things will land into place. And even if it wasn't exactly the timeline you expected, it sounds like they did work
Exactly.
out.
Yeah.
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 So walk us back to, so you got off the road and then you went on the road again. So that first time when you got off the road, did you think that you would return again? Like, was the plan always to try it out again? Like it was going to
Yes.
be a break? Okay. So you were
Yeah.
going to take a break, but you knew you wanted to go back.
So coming off the road the first time was very hard for me emotionally because I thrived on the road. Just loved it so much. Just felt, I don't know, there's something about getting out of your bubble. Like step your foot over the county line. You know what I mean? Like just getting out of your space, getting out of your normal environment that I just loved. And so we had to make, some decisions that were best for our family at the time to come off the road. And we had always planned, we have to be off for a season, but within the next year, we'll be back, back on the road. And it didn't, it's like that 3-year-old bow again. It just didn't work that way, But luckily, our company that we work for knew that we wanted to be back on the road. So in 2023, they sent us out on a route. So we had to be back in the RV. And then we were away for about 2 months. And that was just kind of like reignited that thing on the inside of us that this is what we want to do. And so then 2024 we started planning a little bit to go out on the road again. So I'm glad.
Right.
Not everything, like you're full-time RVer, not everything is sunshine and rainbows, but like I wouldn't trade it. I love this life.
Yeah, I know, I agree. It has its pros and cons, and some days are definitely more pleasant than others. But when
Yes.
you kind of zoom out and look at the big picture, it's just, and I feel grateful to be living this lifestyle. I know it's not for everyone, but
Yes.
we really enjoy it. And then as far as having the challenge like that, we've gone through some different ups and downs and challenges too. And I do feel like they were really helpful in a way because it really made me appreciate. And like, it was almost like the universe was like, you haven't wanted this bad enough now. You maybe took some of this for granted. Like, so we're going to see if you can overcome this challenge. And then it really kind of was like a renewed appreciation in some way. Just being really grateful to be able to keep rolling, I guess.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I'm glad you guys were able to return to the road
Yeah.
too. Do you have plans? Like, are you the type of family that's like, no end in sight, like we don't know? Or are you more like, we're going to do this for 2 to 3 years? Or what does it look like for your family?
I think we're going to do it as long as it works for us. And I think exactly like you were saying, sometimes you have to evaluate and reevaluate on what's best for your family in that time. Yeah, I think that's the key, is that I would love to do it as long as we can, but if it doesn't work out for everyone, then we have to consider that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's like how we are, where people will be like, well, how long are you going to buy a house? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, no plans to settle down. But like everyone has to continue to be happy with, our kids need to be happy with it. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm just going to transition right into retirement, this lifestyle, and just ride into the sunset. But you just, you never know, because if the kids are unhappy, like I'm not just going to keep pressing on.
Right. There's something that I always say, in addition to this will make for a good good story later. I always say, this is how I feel in the moment, but it's subject to change at any time.
Yeah,
Just
I
because
like
like
that.
right
Yeah.
now, I feel like I would love to do this as long for the foreseeable future. But again, things change and you have to roll with the punches sometimes. So yeah, definitely how I
Yeah.
feel right
For
now.
sure. Yeah, and I always try not to get in my head on the days that are difficult because you don't wanna just quit on a particularly bad day just because things are feeling really stressful at that point in time. You wanna give that, some kinda time and space to just more, I guess, find the average of what's gone on rather than just, like, that major dip or that really, like, difficult situation to kind
Yeah.
of remember that not all the days are as shitty as some of them can be.
Do you know what? That's the importance of community on the road. Like, because there
Mhm.
are things that you understand that I would understand. And again, you need friends and people from all walks of life, but it's just so important to have community, to have people that understand what you're going through. So when you say, I want to quit, they're like, I get it. I get it. I understand. That's so important.
Yeah, I agree. And sometimes community looks very different, like a virtual community where you have your, friends. Like in this lifestyle, it's not always going to be a neighbor, someone who's in your campground. But I love that we have all been able to connect through Instagram and the OG RV queens to find our people out there and she roams. So it's just like super helpful to have the community piece. I agree. It makes a huge difference because everyone
I
really
agree.
kind of understands the unique challenges that we may experience.
Yeah.
So, is there anything that has surprised you about yourself through this journey? Has anything that you've maybe accomplished or gotten through or anything like that that you feel like Becky from 15 years ago would be like, wow, that's amazing?
Oh my, that's such a great question. And I don't know. I think the Becky of 15 years ago would be shocked at where we are and what we're doing right now. But I think she would be proud of me.
Yeah. I think she'd be proud of you too. She'd be amazed of all the things that
Yeah.
you have figured out and all the different ways that you're being brave and just all the opportunities that you're providing for your girls and everything. I think that she'd be very surprised, very proud. So if someone was listening right now and they felt like they were kind of in a very much a situation like we'll figure it out and it was like, kind of unknown, what would you want them to know or what advice might you give that person?
Fear is not always an indicator that the answer is no. Like, I
Mm,
think anytime that you do something that's out of your element, you're going to have a level of fear. You're going to have a level of, gosh, what have I done? I remember this last time, as much as we looked forward to being on the road again. We had been renting for a couple years because we sold our home back in 2019 and we had been renting and we sold everything. And it was like, I remember sitting in the Target parking lot and just like, what have I done? Like,
yeah.
just because it's scary, the unknown, even though we had done it before, like, just it's scary to do something new and to take that leap. I'm not saying don't listen to it because sometimes fear is an indicator, but like, I think sometimes fear's a liar, and just will
Yeah.
try and because we like to be comfortable. We like to be in this spot in our safety of our bubble or whatever. And jumping outside of that, not just jumping, but like leaping into something that's completely new, you're gonna question yourself, and I think that's okay.
Yes, I love that so much. That really resonated. Yeah, that was just such a helpful reminder. I do think back to like our first few months. I remember I used to wake up in the middle of the night and I'd like gasp. And it was like being hit with a ton of bricks where it was like, oh my gosh, what have you done? Are you
Yeah,
insane? Like it was so overwhelming. I felt
exactly.
like, my chest was just being like pressed in, like I just couldn't breathe. And I was like, what is happening? So that's such a good point, though, just not to let the fear take control in that way and to remember
Yes,
it's not always an indicator that things aren't on the right path. So yeah, that
exactly.
was powerful. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And I did want to circle back when you first went on the road, what led you all to that path? Like take us back in time.
Back when my oldest was like 5 years old, she's 22 now, we took a 30-day cross-country trip in our conversion van and in a tent. And we just decided, so we were like van lifers before van life was popular. So we've done this a couple times in our life where we sold everything and we're like, this is what we're going to do. I loved that. And so I have an aunt that was a full timer, and we had talked to them about the end of like 2018, but I never knew that there were families that did it. In the beginning of 2019, I came across a YouTube video of a family. It was a family of 11. I don't know if you remember North and South had they're not on the road anymore, but it was a family of 11 and they were living full time in their RV. And I was like, what is this? Like, I didn't know that there were families that did it. And then once I realized that there were families that did it, it went from, can we do this to how can we do this?
Mm.
And so it was like, okay, how do people make money? How do this? It's like we had all the questions. And so then that led me to work camping, which led me to Work Campers News, went to our first rendezvous. I don't think they're doing them anymore, but it was like a get together of convention of sorts, I guess, where they had lots of different classes that you could take about doing this lifestyle. But meeting people that were doing it was instrumental, you know? And I think that's the case of like whatever you do, find people that are doing what you want to do and ask questions. And so that like kind of started the ball rolling. We sold our home. We were like just determined that this is what we're going to do. And then 2020, the world shut down and we're like, wait, but like we had this plan, of like what we were going to do. And then it was probably September of that year that we were like, it's now or never. And so we left. And then the rest is history, I guess.
I just love that. You made so many good points in there. And it was really relatable when it was kind of like not knowing families did that. And then finally, when you find one and you're like, oh, wait, what? Like, I remember hearing about it and being like, well, it's like an urban legend, I think. I don't like, there's some kind of like it might happen. These people are probably, I don't know, really unique situations. They might be nuts, not sure. And then like the more we got thinking, I was like, no, like I think we could also do that. Like I think we could make it work. So yeah, well, I'm glad that you all were able to figure it out.
Yeah, me too.
Yes. Do you have a couple would you rather questions for you today? So would you rather be on like front desk check-in duty on a Friday afternoon or bathroom cleaning duty on a Sunday?
So easy. Front desk. I love the front desk. I worked in the morning at the last job that I was at, and so it was before people had been drinking all day and like wanted to complain about the Wi-Fi and all of that. But I loved front desk. Seeing people come in and
Oh my gosh. I imagine that would be actually a really challenging position to be fielding the complaints or everyone coming into and just, I don't know. There's probably a lot of people that come back to get their campsite and then they come back and they want a different campsite and there's probably just like a lot of chaos involved. So I love that you love that because you have to be very people-y to be able to handle that type of role too. But then after hearing more about what you've seen in bathrooms, I think most people would probably just suck it up and deal with the people in that one. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the next one. Would you rather make 200 pancakes on a Saturday morning at the campground or chase a bear out of the campground?
Is the 200 pancakes in the dead of the season when it's hot outside?
Good question. Yes.
Okay, then I would rather chase a bear out of a campsite.
Going with the bear. Okay. That is a lot of pancakes to have to flip. How many did you, on average, usually have to make on a Saturday pancake morning?
Usually I was there during the week, so I didn't have quite as many as they did on the weekends, but like they made a ton of pancakes. The thing about the pancake room, it was so hot. And when you're a woman that already has hot flashes, like is the pancake room is no joke. Like it is no joke. It was kind of miserable. So I would choose the bear, I guess.
Were you allowed to receive tips on pancake duty?
No.
No. Shoot. I was going to tell everyone to make sure you're tipping all your campground people, but
the question was, were we supposed to or did we?
Oh, but sometimes people would. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, so great. So the official answer is you may not tip the people making your pancakes, but the real answer is yes, tip the people making your pancakes. Okay, now I follow.
It depends. Every campground is different in what they allow officially. You're not allowed to take tips.
Okay. That's good to know, but we should still be offering tips when it's hot and the pancakes we're getting a full stack. Okay, perfect. Good to know. All right. Well, Becky, thank you so much for being here. And if you do not already follow, we will figure it out. Get on that. And just so you know, there are periods in between each of the words, and it will also be linked in the show notes. And thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It would mean the world to me. Safe travels, y'all.
Thank you.
gets rough, you don't fold up. You look at the day and you say, we will figure it out. We will figure it out. There in the dark or a storm rolling down, we will figure it out. We will figure it out. We will figure it out. You and your girls, you and your man, we'll find a way when we can. There was a black bear by the bins, sniffing at the camper door. You stood tall, you kept it calm, like you've done 100 times before. And that shower by Site 19 had a story no one missed. You laughed, you rolled your sleeves up, said, well, this is what this is. Fear can tap the glass, you don't let it crash. You take a breath, then you say it again. We will figure it out. We will figure it out. Bear in the dark or a storm rolling down, we will figure it out. We will figure it out. We will figure it out. You and your girls, you and your man, we'll find a way when we can. Some folks wait for easy, you make your own trail. With tired hands and steady love, you keep going when things fail. Holes in the plan, mud on your boots, you don't let fear choose what your family can do. We will figure it out. We will figure it out. Pack up the hurt and we carry on.